Hi, this is Shui with a review of the Converse All-Star BB Jet, or we could just call it BB Jet or the Jet. The Converse basketball shoes, they've been pretty dominant, especially in the 90s. They've created some amazing shoes for guys like Kevin Johnson, Larry Johnson, Dennis Rodman. Converse always had really good midsole materials, even though they always tried some valiantly new type of cushioning system, helium, react shoes. Struts, whatever. They've always had some interesting gimmick that always read patent pending, as in they did not get the patent approval yet, but we've registered for it, and that's how significantly unique these cushioning systems are. But anyway, their midsole material was good. They had good traction, and they were very affordable, and they got the job done. And a lot of times I found the Converse basketball shoes were worn by serious fathers more so than those who fancied Jordan and Nikes and something trendy. Anyway, Converse died somewhere there, and Nike picked up the pieces and helped fund the Converse to make sure its all-star Chuck Taylor classics continued to stay alive. And they suddenly started reprising basketball shoes with Draymond Green as their main face just a few years ago. G4 was the first signature for Draymond Green because Draymond Green is the most recognizable face for Converse sponsored players. You would always feel like every Converse basketball shoe is a Draymond Green signature, but I guess it's more like player exclusive for Draymond Green, but not rather entirely a Draymond Green shoe. So before that, they had the BB Converse All-Star BB, and now the BB Jet is something of a breakthrough in terms of the design. The G4 was looking very much like a classic design, like a casual wear. Now this actually looks like a serious basketball shoe, and it's not going too over the top, and it's got a nice little early 2000 vibe to it. And this actually comes with that box. This is the NBA Jam edition. Those who've played the games will remember all the wonderful phrases like boom shakalaka, he's on fire, on Fuego, and a little bit of razzle dazzle. So they have those words written in type of a 8-bit digital format here. The other pair says boom shakalaka. For size 10, it weighs about 420 grams, but so it's not the lightest shoe out there, but fortunately it feels a little bit lighter than just 420 grams. Once you just lace them up without the knowledge of the digits, you actually might feel that they're lighter than 420 grams. They do not fit through the size, in my opinion. It's a little bit narrow on the side. It kind of chews up on your pinky toe area a little bit, just like the Kyries and many of the Kyries and Kobe series of the past. So I would advise at least going a half a size. I went up a full size, and I still felt like it was a little dangerously tight. So there's something you might want to consider. But no matter what you do, even if you go down half a size because you have a super narrow foot, you will feel there's a tremendous amount of dead space on the toe box area. That's something, for me, that is the biggest terminal flaw that this shoe has. I wish they would do something about this in the future. The upper material is sort of like a fabric. I wouldn't say knit, I can't say jacquard, but some kind of non-leather fabric. If it was just this alone, it would have been pretty breathable, but inside there's a huge thick layer of neoprene. So the neoprene type inner booty makes it really, really hot and humid in there. So if you like your foot warm, then this is a shoe for you. If you get hot and if you sweat a lot and you can't stand lack of ventilation, definitely you might want to skip this shoe. Nice little fuse coating around the high abrasion areas. The heel cup is there, and again, all around there's a lot of padding. You can actually poke and you can see it go in all the way. There is a very prominent heel cup inside, but it's covered up with these layers of neoprene, I guess. There is no prominent heel protruding padding little bits that tries to secure your foot, the foot in the footbed, or try to secure your ankle and your heel to prevent heel slippage. But it fits nicely. The heel cup is there, and this little added material helps to really lock down on your ankle without chafing into your Achilles, because it's soft, sort of like a spongy material, like the one they use for the tongue area. Very similar to the material they use in the Kobe 6. So if you're really sensitive about heel slippage, you might want to try this on. For me, I don't have a huge heel, but I felt like this actually secured my foot down well, even though they do not have those protruding padding around the ankles. It's a very low cut shoe. It feels like a Kobe 4 type of low cut. It cuts around just nearby your ankle, and it does not chafe because they're soft. That's one good job that Converse has done. The midsole is, I don't know if it's Cushlon, but that's something that Nike has been pushing recently, and sometimes they don't write the word there to mention this is Cushlon. Usually if it's React or some other type of material, they usually write down what material it is. I believe this is Cushlon or some type of an EVA that feels very similar or comparable to Cushlon. There's a hexagonal zoom air here. It's not tiny, but it's not as large as the ones you've seen in the LeBron 13s, but it's there. It gets the job done. It's not bottom loaded. It's right below your heel, below your foot, below the insole and the strobel board. On the forefoot, they have similarly positioned zoom air, the traditional zoom air that's kind of shaped like this. Yep. And you can definitely feel the heel zoom air working. And the strobel board is pretty thick. Strobel board feels like a cross between an insole and a midsole. It's really thick. The EVA type material seems to provide additional cushioning without compromising the feeling you get of being directly in contact with the zoom, but more so on the heel rather than the forefoot. The forefoot feels like overall it's kind of soft, but you don't feel that juicy, bouncy responsiveness of zoom air that you felt in the G4s. If you try the Converse G4s, you can feel the zoom air right underneath your foot. But the downfall of the G4 was that other than the zoom air unit, everywhere else was basically your foot was touching the outsole. So yeah, major pain around the toe areas, but super bouncy just around the zoom area. So now it's a little different. Overall, relatively soft and bouncy, but the zoom air, you don't really feel it as much as you did with G4. But that's okay. A lot of shoes in the past, like the original Kobe 5 or Kobe 6, you don't feel the zoom air on the forefoot that much. You just feel like there's an adequate level of low to the ground cushioning that provides a little bit of a bounce, and to make sure you don't get blisters around this ball of your foot. So that's good. There's not a significant heel to toe drop, but it does not feel like the heel is sinking too much, but it does feel like the heel area, because the density of the midsole is uniform all around, you feel like the forefoot is a little bit denser than the heel. What they should have done was they should have put a little bit of a softer or lower density foam on the forefoot and something of a higher density than the heel if they do not have a bigger zoom air in the heel than the forefoot, because the zoom air is pretty much the same kind of thickness. So yeah, if you want to experience the classic Kobe 4s or Kobe 5, 6 that we've had in the past, not the Pro ones where you have nothing in the heel but zoom turbo in the forefoot. So this is quite similar to the experience I've had in 2009 and 2010s, when 2010 and 2009 to 2011 when they had the Kobe 5 and 6 originals. Yeah, so that's that. Cushioning was pleasantly surprising. Another thing is that even if you wear it without the insole, it feels quite similar to the type of cushioning you felt with the original Kobe 5 and 6, but with the insole added, a little bit more of a thick, slight layer of ortholite, you actually feel like it's even softer than that. So all around cushioning is good. I wish there could have been a little bit of a greater difference in terms of the heel and the forefoot unit. Yeah, the insole, speaking of, is a nice, decent level of thickness ortholite type of material, but the top layer is a little bit disappointing. They tried to have a nice little fancy printed insole, NBA Jam and the hardwood. So I guess to have something printed on it, you need to have a shiny surface. So this feels more like a nylon kind of a pantyhose type of slipperiness. So yeah, that's a bit of a no-no. I've tried many special editions with this type of layers on top, and you do feel your foot sliding a little bit. It's not good. If you have some socks that provide a lot of traction, then you need to wear that with this. So if you do not get a size that fits you perfectly, you'll feel your foot sliding a little bit back and forth. next time or maybe for next other editions other than the NBA Jam edition, other Converse BB Jet, they will use a different top coating, which will be something close to a slightly suede material, where it will provide the traction and a little bit of added comfort to securely keep your foot in place and let the insole mold to the shape of your foot. So a little bit of disappointment there. Yeah, the traction is really interesting. It's very similar to the one we've seen in LeBron 17s. Some people say depending on the colorway and the rubber material, it worked and it didn't. But for me, it was pretty decent. Same here, but these little parts, the traction pattern is a little bit more tight, and the groove is a little less deep, a little bit more shallow. So these areas, great traction. Here, a little bit more dust sensitive and a little bit less durable. It's got a little plate there, but it's nothing fancy, nothing special. It's not some sort of a APL propulsion material or unlocked zoom or anything like that. It's just there. The good thing is it's there to provide some level of rigidity and stability, so that it's not wobbly. That's good. Yeah, nice little Converse logos here and there. Yeah, and different colors for the other side. This one says Player 2, the other one says Player 1. Nice little collaboration with the classic NBA Jam game. The price point is pretty amazing. This cost probably about slightly close or under $100 for a shoe like this with a zoom in on the heel and the forefoot, which is so hard to find these days, and with good traction and a nice little design. Yeah, I would say this is definitely worth the buy. You're getting a lot of bang for your bucks. But once again, the sizing is a little bit of an issue, dead space on the top, and yeah, slippery insole, but you can change it with a different insole. But I do wish they would do something about the zoom air thickness, or like even with G4, they've had a React foam that was a little bit more denser than just a zoom air on the forefoot, so they need to get that right next time. But certainly a huge upgrade, a huge evolution for the Converse basketball line. It's always good to know that they're utilizing their boss company, Nike's technologies, and continuing to make progress. Looking forward to more from Converse in the future.